Hey everybody, it's Kenny K here again, and I'm going to review a movie way back in time, 1979 to be exact, The Brood, directed by the master of body horror, a subgenre of horror, David Cronenberg. Now, you might have seen a few other of his movies. This one and The Fly are the only ones that I really like, because I'm not a big fan of body horror movies. They're gross. They creep me out, but not in a way, oh, it's creepy. No, it's like, ugh. It's like goosebumps on you. Oh, you know, you rather look like this than. So The Fly, all these movies where you basically have people metamorphing into this something metamorphing. He did Dead Ringers, Videodrome, etc. Nowadays he's doing. I'm not sure if he's directing. He's popping up. I think he popped up in the Canadian slasher series called Slasher, I think season 4, as the wealthy father. But The Brood gets a 6.8, he gets a 7 from me. It's just really creepy, and I'll tell you why. You've got Oliver Reed in this one, who plays the Dr. Hal Raglan. He's an eccentric psychiatrist, to say the least. You've got a Samantha Egger in this one, Nola Carvett, Art Hindle in this one. People would think Art Hindle, what they did, you know. He plays Frank Carvett. Now, these three actors that I just mentioned, Oliver Reed was in The Gladiator, and he was in Burnt Offerings, a ghost movie that I really enjoyed, especially the end. It was a complete twist. And Samantha Egger, the slasher movie Curtain or Curtains, I'm not sure. It's with the Hag Mask Killer. And then, although, that's just, I'm not gonna spoil that one. And the original Dr. Dolittle from 1967. Art Hindle, then, he played his fair share of movies. He played Black Christmas, 1974, as the boyfriend of Claire Harrison. Claire Harrison being the one who gets offed first with the plastic bag over her head, and that's the cover picture of the movie, where you see her in a rocking chair. Remember? He's the boyfriend, but he has a important role in that movie, because he has to, he's investigating things like that. You also have him in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the first remake from 1978 with the with Donald Sutherland, but also and Jeff Goldblum, but also the ever Veronica Cartwright. It was at the same time when she did Alien. And don't you guys think that she is like a scream queen? She can be so horrified. Remember in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, when she thinks Donald Sutherland isn't one of the PAL people, and he does like this, and she's like, oh no. I mean, she apparently didn't know that he was gonna be a PAL people. They never told her, so it could get a genuine scared reaction from her. But then in Alien, on the monitor, when the alien is like probably probing her, and then you hear a loud scream, and then done. It's she always had that. Veronica Cartwright can really make. She just has an aura of horror. You know, she can be really horrified, and I don't think she gets recognized for that. Like Jamie Lee Curtis, the Scream Queen, Adrienne Barbeau, the Bee Scream Queen, but Veronica Cartwright can be in those top 5 as Scream Queens. Maybe I'll do a video of the top 5 Scream Queens. um, Except these people, you have Bert and Juliana. These are the grandparents of Art, the parents of Nola, uh, Burton and Juliana, and then Cindy Hinz plays Candace Carvet. Never know what she did, but she plays Candon Carvet. Ruth Mayer, her teacher, and a guy named John Hertog. And I recognize the guy from several movies, but I just I forgot to find some information of him. But I thought he was really funny, and so let me start explaining why I love this movie, and let's start with the synopsis. So Dr. Hal Raglan, we see this exposition held with him and a patient, and they're sitting in these judo, kimonos, the judo outfit. It looks like they're sitting in judo outfits, and Dr. Hal Raglan is playing the father of the guy that's sitting in front of him, and he's so convinced that it's his father, and then he's basically saying I wish I had a girl. Instead of Mike, we can call you Michelle. Or maybe we can already call you Michelle, because you're a little pussy. And he's really digging it deep in this guy, and then he, look at this, father. And it pulls out kimono, and you see all these burned cigarette wounds. I mean, it's weird stuff. It's this way of reaching and really going deep in the human mind to try to get those fears and problems out of them. But our Hindle, of course, he isn't convinced. His daughter is there because his mom still has some of the she can still see her daughter on the weekends, and at some point he wants to see Nola, but he can't because she's a special project. So okay, he leaves it, and then he sees, when he's washing Candace, he sees all these scars and bruises, and he's saying, God, he goes back to Dr. Raglan and he says, how, you piece of shit, who hurt my daughter? I want to know. It was Nola, wasn't it? It was Nola. You should know. You're the boss of this piece of shit. And then he goes out on a fit. He goes to a lawyer, says, listen, I want to stop what they're doing there. It's not healthy what they're doing there. The physician is going like, listen, he's a known parapsychologist and human psychologist, psychiatrist, and he has
Raglan,
all
thank
he's
you all for
really
coming.
well known, and nobody's gonna say anything otherwise. So he knows he doesn't really have a case alone.
But you know, when Candy doesn't
And
show
that's
up at
how he
Soma
comes
Free
in
next weekend,
contact
your
with
wife can take
Jan
legal action
Hertog, and this
immediately.
guy is living in this like retirement home, and he's doing this. God, come in, and he's doing these exercises, rolling over, rolling over this, this mattress, and he's got a few weights. He has this sport jumpers jacket on, and this big ass towel around his neck, and eventually he says, okay, or Frank Carver says, "Why do you want to sue them?" Revenge. I mean, he's like, look at that, and he takes um, the the towel off, and he sees this giant tumor, and he says, Frank says, "Is that from that treatment?" No, but it's that this doctor, this Raglan doctor, he goes into your mind and he basically creates it by almost manipulating and trying to, he almost pushes it out. But yeah, of course, that's still not enough. But he has a little revolution going on. And there's a moment in the movie where he has a lot more people to sue Raglan, but that's for later. Okay, so I'm gonna talk spoilers, right? Um, when Candace is with her grandma, Juliana, she likes to drink. You see somebody jamming it looks like a door, jamming through the door, but it looked like a doggy window, but it's hard, so she's jamming. Then you see in the same POV style, you see who came in taking a hammer, and then you see somebody on the counters in the exact same way like in the first Child's Play movie. You see Chucky, but everybody thought it was Andy. In that movie, everybody thought it was Andy running over the counter and just basically, throwing everything around. Juliana goes to see what the ruckus is, and she looks above, and she gets hammered to death. The goriest part are the parts where they basically get bloodied faces and by constantly getting hit. It's funny because all the kills are hit. Almost all the kills are hit kills until you're dead. Now, the police couldn't find anyone. Frank Burton arrives for the funeral of Juliana. They separated, of course, Burton and Juliana. Frank picks him up from the airport, and he immediately drives to the psychiatrist, the Raglan Institute, and he says he wants to say to his daughter that her mother died. No, he says, that wouldn't be in her best interest for her treatment. And how is that? You motherfucker, let me in. And he says, I can't do that, Mr. Raglan. It's like, okay, if she doesn't know until tomorrow, I come in, guns blazing. And he goes in his car, drives away. And the day after, Frank Art Hindle has dinner with Ruth Mayer, the teacher, because she sort of likes him. And he gets a telephone of a very drunk Burton saying that he's gonna crash. the Institute of Raglan, and he wants him to go with him. And eventually he says, "Listen, I'm going and going," and he asks the teacher to be a babysitter for 45 minutes, which probably ends up to be hours, because then we see that at some point Burton is lying on the bed, and then we see something coming underneath the bed, hands, and it takes these two glass, like those snowball glassy, glass balls of really thick glass, and she takes the thing takes two and starts to boof, 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 basically kill again, slug him to death. Frank, he's too late, but then he sees in the mirror that this thing, which looks an awful lot like his daughter, throws a ball towards him. It goes right through the wall, so the things have power. And that's a creepy moment because the thing is still in the house, and it looked like his daughter, but with a fucked up face, and they have these little girl. I mean, this little suit jacket on and a shawl for the cold, because it's cold there, and he's looking for it, and then it's in the bathroom, and it jumps on him, but then it falls and it dies because apparently it only has a lifespan for a few days, because these things have X-axes between their shoulder blades, and if these X-axes are depleted, they die. Then you see the entire post-mortem, and they say, "Listen, first of all, what do you see? It doesn't have reproduction parts. No penis, no vagina. It has no navel button, which means this thing wasn't, I mean, didn't came out the womb like another kid. It does have blonde hair, which resembles Candace, but he has these eyeballs that are just black, no white, and a cleftal, like a beak. So, the, a like cleft little thing in the underlip, and then a beak with sharp teeth. It's basically some kind of humanoid thing that he explains that he found the exact, and it didn't have any nourishment anymore. So these things aren't there to be long. They just, so here things get spicy. These things are apparently coming from the Raglan Institute, but who in the hell is creating these things? Because every time, and that's when Dr. Raglan has a visit with Noah, and she's talking about her mother. She starts to get angry because her mom slapped her. Her mom dies. Then about her father, a good father, but he never really, he looked the other way when she got slapped. Bad father. And then she knows about Ruth Mayer, calls to Frank's home, although she didn't have phone privilege. Why the fuck would you put a fucking phone in her room if she doesn't have phone privileges? But she's still, okay, but she calls. It's that moment where she's still babysitting, and she's saying, "Are you Ruth Mayer, the teacher of my daughter?" "Yes." "You fucking bitch. You'll die, you piece of shit." And then she, of course, hangs up. Frank comes in, and she says, "Your life is too complicated for me," so she drives away. Then these two humanoid little girls, basically looking like his dog. They are. It's weird. They're at the playground in front of the school at this tire and sitting together. And when everybody goes in, they mingle in between, but everybody has sort of the same jackets on with a cap, and they go to Candace, and Candace like they're surrounding her. They take her by the wrist, put her in a room, or in a closet or something, lock it, and then they take toy hammers and start to beat Ruth Mayer to death. Eventually, and they take Candace and get the hell away. So Frank goes in. It's way too late. All these children are traumatized as fuck. You mean, base, picture that. Picture in two freaks that are just clubbing your teacher to death. A lot of blood, a whole puddle of blood, and the kids. I mean, yeah, it's traumatizing, right? If that was my kid, I think, Jesus fucking Christ, she'll never sleep again. But um, Frank sees this, and as a gesture of not the kids seeing it too much, he puts like a big paper over her head, calls the police. But that's something I didn't understand. So these two things take Candace to Raglan's institute, right? And the police, he calls the police, the same detective who was involved in the first murders and saw that little creature. And to police, and it's filmed in Canada because the police officers have Canadian police outfits on, not the Mounties, but just you can see that they believe American police officers have bigger badges and they have these smaller badges. But anyhow, I digress. They go to Noah's old room, which looks like a dungeon of the insane, and then why he would go there, I don't understand. He knows she's in the institute. Is there only one place she can go to? That's the institute. Before he goes, he apparently goes to Jan Hertog, and he says, "We've got a winner here, Frank. I've got contacts all over from the institute because apparently Dr. Raglan let all his all the people go that slept there except for one, your wife." So you have that guy from in the beginning, like I said, with the burned cigarette wound, and he says, "Do you want to be my daddy?" And he just takes him by the collar and he says, just say the hell what where is my wife? You're Nola's old man. Queen Bee, she's still there. He's shaking it out. "No, Daddy, no, no." And then Jan Hertog is like, "You're a good boy, you're a good boy." And then he says, "She's still there with those things, those creatures that live in the shed. Creatures, those little girl creature-like things." Eventually he knows enough, goes there instead of calling the police, what he did the first time. No, he goes in alone. He has enough evidence. He goes in alone. He goes in with a flashlight. That's a weapon, right? This long. He goes in, he finds Raglan. Raglan is surrounding the cabin where Nola's in, and then the cabin where all these things apparently are in are they're in a shed right next to her, a cabin. He sees her Raglan. He has a gun. He says, "Listen, listen. If you ever want your daughter back, she's there in the shed, in the upper shed, with the brood." He calls it the brood. That's the title, the brood. Now, basically these things are a brood of things. I actually didn't know that the English word for a brood, a sort of name of basically babies are also the parents' brood. You can say in that sentence, right? I'm sure, but the brood is someone or something that you create as a human. He goes up and he says, "Listen, you have to go to Nola. Try to be as kind as
They're her
possible,
children, Frank.
because Frank,
More exactly, they're the children of her rage.
if Nola gets
They're motivated
angry,
only by her anger.
I don't know what's gonna happen to Candace and me, because, and that's so creepy. This moment is so creepy. Dr. Raglan goes into that room, all these bunk beds with all these, like 10 or more of these brutes, right? These fucked up children, and Candace is somewhere in between, and he finds her. Candace, that brood goes like, and Frank visits Nola, and she's, "Frank, you're not allowed to visit." But she's fucked up she's so fucked up. "I want to be with you, Nola." "Oh, would you? Would you?" "Oh, because it doesn't sound like that." Yes, I want to." "Ah, so you really want to know everything, everything. Okay, then look at this." She pulls off her gown, and there you have the fucking fucked up body horror shit that Cronenberg is known for. She has this yolk sac growing on her belly and the side of her belly, and she rips it off. It starts to bleed like hell. Then she bites in it, blood comes out, so the like egg sac is open. She pulls out this little brood, this little deformed kid, and then she starts to lick it like animals do in the animal kingdom. You know, if you lick it, it's yours. If you don't lick it and somebody else licks it, it's not yours. So she's licking it. Oh, that's, oh, and she's like, "You're repulsive. You find me repulsive. You find me disgusting." And he's trying to hide it, but he can't really say, "No, Nola, no, I don't." "Yes, you do. Yes, you do." Then she gets angry, of course, and all these things in the shed, meanwhile, get up, attack Dr. Raglan. He's shooting a few, he hits a few, but instead of killing him with hitting him to death, they, like as the coroner said, they can bite fiercely with sharp teeth. They're biting pieces of flesh out of his face. Eventually, Candace locks herself up in this room, and then the mom, and in the meanwhile, the mom says, "If you can't have Candace, if not, if I can have Candace, nobody can have Candace. I'll have her killed rather than just give her away to you. And then, of course, the brood starts to attack Candace, knocking on this door, getting through the door. She, of course, is getting traumatized. They're ripping out her clothes. And the only thing that Frank can do is kill Nola. He starts to suffocate her, and then she's yelling, "Kill me! Kill me!" It's from the Exorcist. Kill me! Kill me! Kill me! So he strangles her, and luckily, just in time, she goes up to the shed, sees Raglan's dead body, sees all the bodies of the brood, and she finds Candace. She picks up Candace. He picks up Candace, goes back to his car, and now this weird thing happens. Um, the Nola frequently had to go to the hospital because she had these real weird lumps. Now these lumps were basically the brood that was only in a lump, so they took it away every time. But of course, when nobody took it away, she started to create these these things that react. They're a part of her and her mindset. So they react. If they're happy, they're chill. If she's angry, they're murderous, right? And then we see in the car in shock Candace, and we see that she, on the side of her body, she has these two like little swelling things, and she basically, you see on her face she's crying, and she knows she has the same problem as her mom. Brood is coming to go out her fucking. It's a really, it's a bittersweet ending, right? She gets saved, but she has this. She's the daughter of Nola, so she has the same genetic problems she had. The reason why I like this movie is the brood. The brood is so creepy and reminds me a lot like Child's Play. They're as big as them. They, they are fierce, and in a big house, they can crawl everywhere, and then their one mission at that moment is to kill you, and it's pretty creepy. And the only fucked up moment, like the body horror moment, was at the end when Nola lets her see how the brood comes to life when she's opening it, ripping it off, biting off the yolk sac, and then licking it. That's the body horror stuff. So it's kept to a minimum. Um, but it didn't bother me. It was a inventive idea. The fly also, it didn't bother me with the fly because the transformation of Jeff Goldblum into this fly was awesome. But yeah, I liked the tension, and there's this atmosphere that everything is in woods, in the um, areas where there's nobody around, snow, these big houses. Like I said, these big houses with one of these broods running around. It's creepy. It's creepy. It gives me a creeped out feeling. Yeah. And acting is really good. John Hertog is a little bit of the comedic relief, but he really wants to help, but his acting is what you suspect, of a guy like him. He's already a little bit cuckoo, but he really wants to help. the only stupid thing that I thought of is, why does Raglan, he knows what these things are doing. He knows, he goddamn knows that the brood killed the grandma, the brood killed the grandpa, and he heard it in the newspapers, and he still doesn't say jack shit. The only thing he does is get everybody out of the main housing building, like I said, where that guy is, with, well, my daddy, and but still, it doesn't. He takes a revolver out of his drawer, but he still doesn't say jack shit. And I think he never really wanted to say something, because I think Frank's arrival was actually a thorn in his plan, because for him, he didn't want to do jack shit. He just wanted to keep it safe. So his entire business, his entire front would keep running, and maybe he could, figure it out on his own, and that he may as well would have killed Candace. I think so, but because of Frank being there, he can't do anything. Of course, he could have shot Frank, but that would be too, the police would come, and yeah. And then the phone, kept in her room when she has no phone privileges, and she does have a phone right next to her bed, and she calls it like twice. No, 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 you don't have phone privileges. Okay, take the fucking phone away then. Well, like I said, Cronenberg, David Cronenberg, is the master of body horror. If you have a subgenre slasher, subgenre found footage, subgenre creature feature, then he is the master of the subgenre in body horror. You still have other good directors that can realize this, but I think most of these body horror people, they adored Cronenberg, and he's been making these movies since the 60s. So, yeah. Um, like I said, give it a 7, and it's an old movie, but I really recommend this one. Good acting, good tension and creepiness with those broods, like it's with the brood, this little fucked up kids. It's pretty